Okay, guys, I have Amy Izzo. I've always called you Amy Izzo. If am I
Yeah,
pronouncing it right?
that's right,
Okay.
Amy. So you got it.
Um, the reason I'm having Amy on is she started her real estate career a few years ago, and I'll let you go into more about that. But you're so good at consistently providing value for other agents, and then you went on to your health journey, which just the whole thing, just providing value, going on your health journey. You've just shown commitment. And I think that's what a lot of agents lack in the business is
Thank you.
the ability to commit. And so we'll go over all that, but I'll let Amy take it. I mean, I'll be asking you questions, but I mean, take us to the beginning. When did you start real estate? And then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I've been in real estate practicing for 5 years. This is the end of my fifth year, so I'm starting my sixth year. I've been licensed in 2021. I'll be licensed 7 years, but I got my license end of 2014, but I didn't really start until 2015. Um, I was in corporate business for just about 20 years. The company I had been with prior, I had been with them for 17 years when I left. I was getting a little burned out in that career. It was a sales and sales support career. And I did a lot of things there. And I started kind of at the bottom. So almost like, in the file room almost, and then moved my way up and did a lot of really cool things there. When I left, I was assistant to the vice president of one of their divisions and running a pretty big team. But I was just getting really burned out, and I'd always wanted to do real estate. So I have a lot of interest in some training in interior design. That's kind of where it started.
Mhm.
And that was always kind of like a side hobby. And I was always like, I could just like, I just love to be in homes for that reason.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I would just like nail it if I could just get the courage, right? That's what it's about. Like get the courage to go into real estate full time. And as I was starting to kind of get to this crossroads in my old career where I was just done. I was traveling 3.5 weeks a month. My boys were 10 years old at the time. My daughter was 4 at the time. And I was like, I just, the boys were maybe older than that, but Caitlin was 4. I was just like, I need a change. I'm missing my kid's life. I'm traveling the world, which is not glamorous when you travel for a corporate. You're in and out, you're fast, it's red eyes, you're by yourself. You're on all the time. And when you get to do really cool stuff, I had really cool experiences. Like I went to Hong Kong and opened a sales office there and trained everybody. And that was so cool. But I was alone. I stayed in a suite on Park Avenue in New York City. Amazing, at a Lowe's hotel that we opened. And it was amazing, but I was alone.
Mhm.
So I'm like, this kind of stinks. And I'm working for somebody else. I'm building somebody else's company and brand. And I'm thankful for that because I got to learn a lot about myself and about business and about sales and hone skills. But real estate was an opportunity to do it on my terms and do it for my family in my way. So when I finally just made up my mind, I literally gave my notice and, left with this. I was lucky, very lucky, because I had a little bit of a severance. I had a 6-month cushion of a
Mhm.
severance pay, and I had some medical insurance for a little while too. Because at the time I was really, my husband's always worked. He's had a great career, has a great career. But I was always the bigger breadwinner. That's how we set it up. We were fine with that. And I carried medical insurance. I carried all of those things for the family. So me deciding I didn't want to collect a paycheck every Friday that we knew was always going to be the same amount of money that equaled the 6-figure income. on a Monday and leaving, 2 weeks later to go pursue a real estate career that I knew nothing about,
Mm-hmm.
was a big risk and was very scary, especially for my spouse, because that's just not in him. Once I
Okay.
make up my mind, I'm cool. I'm like,
I
I'm
had
in.
no idea about that you did that. Could turn into a whole other interview because agent,
Oh, okay.
you see on the national real estate agent pages, people are scared to make that jump. So we'll have to schedule another interview. But
What did I do? I just
yeah, go
jumped.
ahead. Yeah.
So my story is, so I jumped and I got my license. It was a 90-hour program. I literally got my license in 30 days. I did nothing for 30 days. For 29 days, I did nothing but online. I did it online. And all I did all day long was learn, 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 test, 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 test. I finished up my last class at 5 in the morning on the day I was supposed to take the test at 9 a.m. And I got in my car 4 hours after I got my certificate and printed it and drove to the testing center and took the test.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you had to schedule that test. I even scheduled it. Like, I'll be done in time. Don't worry. I was done 4 hours before the test time.
That is so
When
cool.
I got there and they looked at my printout, it had the time on it. And they looked at the printout and he looked at me and he looked at the printout and I said, yeah, it's real. And he's like, you just got your certificate this morning. I said, sure did. And I passed it that day. I was just determined that
Yeah.
I was going to start real estate immediately.
Right. Yeah. I was the same way. I was super.
So 5 years later, I've sold as a solo agent. These are not team members, over $53 million in real estate. I'm in a modest market, so our average sale price is about $230,000. So it's well over 255 transactions in 5 years. So as a solo agent, and I've had points in my career where I've had a team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently building a team now. National team, so not just a local team. So that's really exciting.
Hey.
And yeah, so that's my story. And what I'm most proud of is I created an environment for me where I have a predictable monthly income every month, and I've done that consistently for 5 years. I got my first paycheck, desired paycheck, 6 months in to earning my real estate license and signing with the brokerage. And that was the deadline. So
Mm-hmm.
let me just tell you this too, if I can.
Yeah.
So how I got my spouse on board, because that's really important when you have a significant other, right? How I got my spouse on board with, okay, I'm going to do this, and this is it. I was like, okay, I was fortunate to have 6 months of expenses covered. He was like, okay, when can you replace your 6-figure income? And I was like, 6 months. Give me 6 months. I can totally do it. What's the stat? Like, most people don't even last that long in the business. Most go out of business very
I will
quickly.
tell you, 87% fail within the first 5 years. So, and if you don't do a deal in your first year, I mean, they're probably.
Part of it was like, I didn't even know what I was committing to. I was just like, yep, 6 months. I have 6 months in the bank, so I'll do it in 6 months. That's my deadline. And I tend to sometimes just come in at the deadline that I set for myself. So I should really set even more aggressive deadlines, because I tend to meet my deadlines right at the deadline. So literally we were at the 6-month mark and he was looking at me like, where's the first check? When I got my first set of closings that exceeded what we agreed my monthly income needed to be. The good news is I've been consistent every month since then. So wow. If I can do it, anybody can do it. If you're determined and consistent with your activity, you can do it.
Right. I just remember I had my back up against the wall, so failure wasn't an option, but I remember the roller coaster and just having really good months and then not having any closings, which that's a whole other content and interview, but it's hard and that's amazing that you at 6 months just started consistently making a paycheck.
Well, and I'll say this too, like, I would say I've experienced the roller coaster in 2 different ways. One, in there's $3,000 months, and I need more than that every month to live. And then there's $20,000 months, right? Mm-hmm. So it's trying to get that so there's less $3,000 months, right? And I know when I say that, there's some people that are like, I would love a $3,000 month. Like, that does not fall short on me. I get it. In the beginning, like before I did anything, I just wanted a sale, any sale, right?
Right.
And something I've learned to do in my market is don't turn any business down, because I just picked up an $800 commission, $800. That's it on one sale. That's how small of a sale it was. But that sale is important to me as the $12,000
well, you're learning too,
or more, right? So it's all important to me, and I don't turn any business down, and that has snowballed over time.
Right.
But I've also had the roller coaster in where I'm working, like real estate was supposed to provide us my own schedule, right? It was supposed to provide freedom for me, right? Freedom and the income I wanted. And so I've had a lot of roller coaster in terms of time, which is really your most valuable asset, where I've had months where I've worked a gazillion hours in a week, 80, 90 hours in a week. And then I've had to learn, okay, well, how can I get that same result and work the normal schedule and have a life?
Right.
Right. And so I've ridden that roller coaster as well. And I would say I'm much better. I'm on a less rocky roller coaster. We all have our ups and downs, but I don't have the extreme peaks and valleys anymore in terms of the time.
Yeah. And thank goodness for that. And you're about to leverage your business with your husband.
Yes.
Did you have assistants before?
Yes, I've had assistants before. So yeah. But my husband's a big help. He's a great help for me. So
okay. Well, so let's talk about your weight loss journey. And when did you decide that you had to do something about your health?
So I've struggled with my health in terms of specifically weight, probably 25 years of ups and downs. And I've had a lot of false starts. And I want to talk about that, because I think I don't care if you have that last 5 pounds to lose, or if it's not a weight loss thing, it's just you need to move your body more because you don't feel strong,
right?
Or it's a nutrition thing. I don't care what it is. We all have false starts, right? Where we jump in and we start, and then we're not consistent. It's not sustainable. It just falls off, right? We've all had that where we're like, I wish I could get back to, or on Monday I'm going to start again, right? Yeah. All areas of life. So I did that around, for me, it was a weight loss game for 25 years. It was a weight loss game. I remember being a teenager, and I was probably only 20 or 30 pounds overweight, but I felt like I was hundreds of pounds overweight. And I couldn't figure the 20 or 30 pounds out as a teenager when I probably had the highest, best metabolism of my life, right? I just couldn't figure it out. And that over, getting married and having kids and having a career and just putting everything and everyone else before me for many years, that became my habit.
Yeah.
And when, my health coach says, show me your habits, I'll predict your future. If I knew that then, right? I know now my habits do predict my future, and my habits were not good. My habits were not to eat well. I didn't eat well. So my habits were not to consistently move my body. I would inconsistently do it. Sometimes I wouldn't do it at all. And I need to do both. So over the last few years, while I was building this real estate career that I'm so proud of, I was also becoming more unhealthy because I was putting the business first. I was putting my family first. I was putting everybody and everything before my health.
Right.
And I was just feeling exhausted all the time. It started with, I'm just tired. And then I was more tired, and then I was exhausted. And then, things would happen that I knew were wrong, but I was kind of living in denial. Like I was at a stoplight and I nodded off. Nothing bad happened, thank you, God. But someone had to beep the horn,
Yeah.
to wake me up to move at a green light. You know that's bad. You know it. It's in your head. You're ashamed. But these kinds of things started to happen, and I had sleep apnea. The joke. I have teenagers, so they love you, but teenagers tell you like it is, right? And it became kind of a joke that mom can't stay awake. Like, don't try to watch a movie with mom. She's gone in 5 minutes.
That's a joke
Don't
in
go.
my house, just so you know. And I have fallen asleep driving before. Not
Okay.
good. So not good. Just too many showings. But anyway, go ahead.
Too much, yeah. It's exhaustion. You've
Yeah.
exhausted your body for whatever reason. And so just running the rat race I was running and not taking care of myself, I ballooned to 399 pounds, which is too much for anybody, right? Anybody, it's too much. And I was starting to need medication, like I needed a high blood pressure medication. And I was like, what is next? And I guarantee you I had diabetes, and it just wasn't diagnosed because I wasn't telling anybody what was going on.
Right.
So, which is silly in itself, but that's the truth. If we're going to be real, that's the real story. So I was at real story. I was at a speaking engagement. I was speaking a couple hours from my house last October. And some of my friends were there that were also speaking with me. And one of them, I was already struggling with this, but one of them pulled me to the side. Well, really, two of them pulled me to the side and said, when are you going to consider doing something for your health? And I was like, well, I'm trying, like in my head, like, well, I'm trying, but I can't figure it out. And the truth is I could figure it out. But I knew what I needed to do, but I really felt like I was in a hole that I couldn't crawl out of, and I was like, I tied success to my business. I also tied success to my family, which I would have told you was all going well. And it was on some level, but it really wasn't in a lot of areas because I wasn't really able to be as present and as engaged with my family as I wanted to be. I wasn't excited about this great business I was running that I defined myself by, right? Which is by the way, not how I define myself today. So it just that there was a moment when I was at the speaking engagement that I was speaking and I was with my friends and I was listening to their concerns that hit me like nothing else had ever hit me before. And I really took a time out. I actually stayed. I could have driven home because I was only a couple hours from home, but I actually stayed, got a hotel, spent the night. I even went shopping and bought clothes. Like I didn't go home and get stuff. I was like, I'll go shopping and buy some clothes and stay at this hotel. And I'm going to stay in this space and really spend some time thinking about me and what just happened and how I'm feeling. And I just decided I got to fix this because if I don't get my health under control, I'm going to die young. That's exactly where I was in that space. I'm going to die.
Can we just touch on the fact that the way you felt when they told you, first of all, you have good friends that support you. I don't know if I know them or not, but I know that we are part of a large family across the nation that I am thankful for those connections.
Me too.
But okay, so you spent the night in the room and you're able to reflect
Mhm.
on and come up with a plan.
I did. So I can share that. You want me to share what I did? So I came home. I told my husband. I made the decision to have weight loss surgery, which I knew wasn't going to solve the problem, because I knew even in that moment, I knew the problem was inside of me, had a lot to do with my self-worth.
Okay.
But I also knew at 399 pounds, I was exhausted. I was not sleeping. I had severe sleep apnea. I had high blood pressure. It was hard to walk. And could I have not had weight loss surgery and gotten to the same place I'm at today? Yes, over more time with a lot more effort. Initial effort, I would say. But I decided I was going to need a tool to help me get started. And that's really, so I had a gastric sleeve surgery. All it is a tool. I will just say that, because
I agree.
I had surgery December 13th of 2019. You meet a lot of people when you go through that process that also have surgery. A lot of the people that I had surgery with that day, that month, have gained their weight back already, are not still losing, or are having what they call revisions, which means a second surgery. I'm not going to do any of those things. So I knew that I needed a tool to help me get started, but I knew it was going to be bigger than that. I knew I was going to have to work on my mindset. I knew I was going to have to work on my self-worth, which is really identity, I have learned. And I knew I was going to have to commit to sustainable daily changes in lifestyle for real this time, like forever, every day.
Right.
I had no idea how I was going to do it, Sarah. I really didn't.
Did anyone help you? Like, did the doctors tell you what to do?
So yes. So I decided to have surgery. I scheduled the surgery and I took the plan they gave me and like literally followed it. So when you do this, you start like weeks before your surgery, you start with a plan. Some people months before. I traveled out of the country to do this. And so because I did that, I started a few weeks before the surgery with their plan. But literally, if they say to wear pink on Tuesday, I wear pink on Tuesday. Like whatever they said to do, I did. And mostly it was around diet, and there was no exercise in the beginning. Mostly it was around diet in the beginning and getting my body ready for surgery.
Okay.
And then the first like 12 weeks was just about healing my body after surgery. And just following that plan, all really around nutrition. So I went through, you don't really know it, or I didn't think about it this way, but I went through a huge detox because I came off all processed foods. I came off all carbonated beverages. I came off all added sugars. And I say that because there's sugar in fruit and in food. So that's the only sugar I was getting in my body at the time. And that alone drops weight from you. Just that process alone drops weight. And the reason it was important to drop some weight right away is so that I could get moving, so that I could do things, because I really couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But I had some really quick success after surgery. And I was primarily focused on nutrition. I wasn't moving yet. And then I have really great friends. Another really great friend who could see the weight falling off of me was staying in touch with me. And she had been working on her weight loss for a couple of years. And so I'll talk about my friend Gail for a minute. Gail never gave up on me. She kept in touch with me, just sharing her journey for about 2 years. She never asked me to join her journey. She never invited me into her journey. She never told me I needed to lose weight. She would just always tell me what was going on with her and ask me how I was and offer to share what she was doing if I was interested. She wasn't selling anything. She still isn't. She's just a friend. She's another real estate agent. We do send out cards together. So we know each other through relationship building. And that's how we always have networked over the years. And in January, I'd already lost in the first month enough weight that you could see it. and so she was like, hey, you're doing really good. You're losing some weight. I wasn't sharing on Facebook my journey, but you could see photos. I looked a little different already in photos. And she was like, what are you doing? And she was doing Whole30. And so she was telling me about Whole30 and I was interested in that. And we were just sharing. And so finally, like in the beginning, I didn't tell anybody I had weight loss surgery, because then first you're ashamed that you're too fat and you're unhealthy. That's just how I felt. And then you're ashamed that you had to have weight loss surgery. At least that's how I felt. Like I had to have weight loss surgery to do this. I was ashamed about that. And then I was like, quit being ashamed and just own your stuff, right? Own your journey. This is your journey. This is these are the decisions you made. Don't regret them, like own them, and then figure out what you need to do to continue to make good progress. You're making good progress. Like it's good that you're loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So just own it. So I told Gail, I think in February, like, okay, I had weight loss surgery. I think she was outside of my immediate family, the first person I told. And she was like, that's great. That's great. And so what are the things that you are doing or you will do to make this sustainable? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I know what I'm doing and I think I know what I need to do, but I'm not sure, I don't know. And so she was working on some similar things in her health, and in that she was working on her identity like I was trying to work on mine, although I didn't have the language for it at the time. And she introduced me to my health coach, Steve Trezick. I love you, Steve. And so that was another like pivotal moment for me, because she invited me to a call and she was like, just come to this call and listen to what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And so I got on this call with all these great people who were all working on different things, some on weight loss, some on health, some on other things, but everyone was working on identity. What do you believe about yourself? Because what you believe about yourself allows you to do or not do those things. So I believed I had a sweet tooth, right? I would say, well, I have a sweet tooth. All I want to do is eat sweets. And Steve would say, if you say so. If you say so, right? If you say you have a sweet tooth, you have a sweet tooth. And I remember having a conversation and I remember him saying, who told you these things? Why do you believe these things about yourself, right? What you really believe. If we peel away all the crap, what do you really believe about you?
Right.
What do you want to believe about you? And I was like, I didn't want to talk about it,
mm-hmm.
right? Because I didn't believe a lot of really great things about me.
You kind of have to meditate on it and think, what do I believe about myself?
So I would say April, I had a conversation with Steve. May, I committed to, okay, if this is going to work, right? If this is going to be a sustainable life change, and I'm going to continue to not only lose weight, it can't be about weight loss anymore. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, because that's what you can see. People see that I'm 224 pounds now. They see I've lost 175 pounds since last December. And I was chasing the scale, right? The scale is what I'm chasing. I'm not chasing the scale anymore, but my goal is still 180 pounds, right? That's where I should be. Maybe I could be less, I don't know. But that's where the doctor and I decided I should be. So that's the number I'm going after, right? I've gone from 399 to 224. I'm super proud of that. I have had weight loss every week. But I'm not chasing the scale anymore. So I was chasing the scale up until May 18th. And then on May 18th, I decided the scale is important because it tells me where I am, along with other things that I've learned, but I'm not chasing the scale. It's not a weight loss game anymore. Now it's about who I am, who is Amy. And who I believe I am is going to be able to allow me to achieve whatever I want in health, in finances, in relationships, in business, in everything, right? So who am I really? And I would say I worked on that at the surface, on and off for a lot of years, but I never really dug into it. and said, okay, got real and raw with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's transformational.
Right. So at this point, you're it went from tying success to your business to tying success with family, mental health, physical health, business, finances.
And that's been my focus. I mean, all year, month over month. By the way, I haven't gone out of business. I had a great 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I would not define 2020 this year by the money I made or the transactions I closed or the people I helped. I helped a lot of people this year in the real estate space, and I'm very proud of that. But that doesn't define my success. My success is about I'm figuring out, and I'm going to say figuring because I'm not done, right? You don't peak. You're not done. I'm figuring out who I am. And by the way, at 45 years young, I'm about to turn 46 in a few days. It's taken me that long to really start to figure out who I am, what I really want, independent of everything and everyone else around me, and to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't, I mean, I've been married 26 years. I have 3 children. 2 are 19, 1 is 13. I love them. I do. But I didn't really love me
I think a
all
lot of
this
people
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
We just
So,
give go ahead.
no, go ahead. You're cheating the people in your life that you love and that you want to help personally and professionally if you don't love yourself properly.
I love that.
You can't love them the way you want to because you don't love you. And by the way, I got to work on that every day, Sarah. I got to work on that every day.
I do too.
Right? I do love me. Am I perfect in this space? No, I'm perfect in this moment, but I'll be better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be better tomorrow. And the reason I'm sharing, in the beginning, I was kind of quiet about my health journey because of shame. One thing I've learned so many things, but one thing I've learned is your past doesn't predict your future. And there's no shame in where you were. The shame would be in staying there.
Right.
So I started sharing because I was ashamed about sharing because of where I had been. And at first I was ashamed of how I had started the process of improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, someone said to me that, well, if you hide it because of shame and you don't share it, you're keeping the information from someone else that maybe will resonate even with a portion of your journey. They may not resonate with your whole journey, but even one piece of it they may resonate with, and it may help them. So it helps me, it's like to share it, but I share it because if one piece can help anybody else with any piece of their journey, and I kept that a secret, then I'm cheating people I want to help. So I'm like, oh, well, I can't do that. I got to tell people what I'm doing. So, I mean, now I'm sharing more than ever, and I expect that I'll share even more in the future. I mean, this morning I was doing a live on my page on a new core board, doing core workout live on I wouldn't have done that ever in my life. Would I let you see me sweat on a core board?
Right. And I've seen you do those since May. You've worked out every single day.
Every single day since May 18th. Since May 18th, 200. So we talk so I'm part of a community with my health coach, Steve, called the Promise Keepers. And we talk about, well, if you want to, like everyone's working on something different, but it's important for me to keep track of my movement. And so we talk about having momentum For me, the momentum is in movement, but for someone else, it might be in their schedule or in breaking a bad habit or starting a new routine. And so for me, we talk about momentum as being like having power in your momentum. So I say I'm X to the 218th power today. Right? That means I have worked out for 218 days.
That's what that means.
Consistently, right? Every day. But for somebody else, it could be they're reading 10 minutes a day, and maybe they've done that for 30 days. So they're X to the 30th power, right? So when you do something for yourself every day, over and over and over again, it builds your confidence. It builds your self-worth. It builds your identity. And when you stop and you don't do it, you break a promise to yourself, which hurts yourself. It doesn't matter. I mean, I put it on Facebook because I want people to know what I'm doing and I want to inspire them. But if I didn't put it on Facebook, I still know. It's like, what do your parents used to say to you? Like, when you cheat or when you lie and you cheat, you only cheat yourself.
Yeah.
And when you were a kid, you're like, so what? I cheated myself. So what? I don't read it right for a minute, right?
No, I take it personal when I cheat myself.
Yeah. When you cheat yourself,
it's all day.
The worst person to cheat. Right? It's the worst. And you know it. It's in your head, and your brain knows that you broke that promise to yourself. Steve taught us a phrase. He would say, tell yourself you're a promise breaker then. If you're going to break promises to yourself, then you're a promise breaker. I'm like, I don't break promises. Like, you're not going to do that. You're not going to tell yourself you're a promise breaker.
Right.
Promises. I would not break promises to other people. Why would I break promises to myself? But that's how I live my life.
Me too. Absolutely. I will not flake out on other people, but I will flake out on myself.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Yeah.
So now I go first, right? After me, you come first, right? My kids come after me because I can't serve them if I don't serve me first. Can't do it.
What time do you wake up in the morning?
5 a.m.
And you do.
Sometimes I'm awake at 4:30, but I'm not out of the bed.
Right. Right. That's fine. You're taking care of yourself. Maybe you use that 30 minutes of meditation or what you need to do that day. And then you do a 6 a.m. workout every day.
Yeah. So I have a routine. My routine is the 5 W's. So I wake, I drink water. So wake, water. Then I work out or walk. It started with walking. So I work out or walk. That I write. So I sit and I just write. I write in a journal. I just write my thoughts. I ask myself questions. I answer them. It's a little different every day, but it's just my time. And then I always say worship, which could be meditation. So I do that as well. Okay. It started with the 4 W's that someone taught me. Steve taught me the 4 W's, and then I added the 5th. And my routine is the 5 W's. One of my workouts is at 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern for 30 minutes. I say one because it's not my only workout, but it's something new that I added to my routine 28 days ago. Yes, I count everything, but it's important for me. You don't have to count.
Promises to yourself too, especially if you're in competition with yourself,
Only
which is way better than being in competition with other people, and those other people don't even know it.
Absolutely. Only in competition with myself. And I used to, let's talk about that in a real estate vein. So when I first started in real estate, and I still don't do this, but I recognized about a year in that colleagues that I didn't know well always knew my production. I didn't even know my production the first year.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But they knew my numbers, and it blew my mind. And then other people around me that had been in the business longer than me, that maybe I was mentoring with, would say, well, you should know everybody's production. You should know how you stack up. And this is what they would tell me. And I would listen to that. And then I was like, but I don't have time to be running reports and looking up other people's production. Exactly. Only I care about my production.
And everybody has different goals, and everybody has a different situation. So the broker down the street who has no kids, doesn't pay attention to her husband, she's probably going to have way more production than I do. But my goal is not production. My goal is my kids, and that they feel loved every day, and that it's not how many houses can I sell. Am I in competition with myself? Yes, I do. I want to do better than last year, but also like there's things I don't want my clients to think that I don't want to produce, but there's so many other things that I want to do. And that production has been a stepping stone for me to do these other things. Not everybody has those desires. And this is, I mean, I can relate so much to your story. I don't know if you know mine, but my mindset was in the gutter for a really long time. And Misty Bruton was the one that she was my stepping stone to get out of um, that gutter. But it took, I mean, I have to work on my mindset every single day.
Me too.
And now, I mean, when people are pulling my production, first of all, I do a lot of new construction, and that's not even on the MLS. So it's not even a true reflection of what I really do. But also it makes me laugh because like, um, maybe it's a good thing that I'm a threat to them. I don't know, but I definitely don't have the same goals as those people.
I agree.
And I think it's important that we're talking about this because there's so many new agents out there, maybe seasoned agents too, that feel beat every single day because they don't feel like they're keeping up.
Mhm.
And I've been through the same thing when we were in Club Wealth together. We are in a community where people are doing hundreds, even thousands of units every single year. And could I make that happen if I really wanted to? Yeah. Now I believe I could. I'm not, there's some things I need to do things at this time in my life for my kids and it's just me. It's just me. Um, Hiring leverage in my family and hiring leverage in my business can absolutely help. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole other episode, but it's mindset is a huge thing. And don't feel beat up, whoever's listening. You go at your own pace and set a competition with yourself, set goals and visualize, and that will really help.
Well, and it's so important. I mean, comparison really is the thief of joy.
Mhm.
And it does, you just can't, don't even try to compare because you just can't even properly compare. You don't know the next person's circumstances. You
Mhm.
don't know their goals. You don't know their ambitions for life. All of us are different. And
Yep.
that's great. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes the world go round. That's why we can all learn from each other. And so it doesn't make any sense. But I'm so thankful for social media and technology because especially always, but especially this year, right? It's really enabled us to have connections in a different way than we have been able to in the past, mostly because we've been forced to use it, right? To pivot. We haven't been able to be together in a lot of ways or with a lot of our family members the way that we would like to and we have in the past. But that's also the highlight reel. We are seeing everybody's highlight reel and know for sure that you can use that highlight reel to inspire yourself, to motivate yourself, right? Use the inspiration from Sarah, from me, from anybody that I see. I use inspiration from my coach, Steve, to motivate myself to do what I need to do. But what I need to do is what I need to do. And
Mhm.
it's only in competition with me.
Right.
And that's just a big lesson you've got to get and hold. When you get it, you got to hold on to it.
Right.
So I felt bad because I wouldn't run other people's production. I don't even think about that. I don't feel bad. I mean, I run my numbers so I know where I am to run my business, but I'm not running anybody else's and I'm not comparing it to anybody else's. And I want you to, I don't even know, Sarah, what your production is, but whatever it is, if it's better than mine, I want to be happy for you. Like,
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm happy, but this doesn't mean I got to be there. Right. And vice versa, I'm sure.
right. It's hard too for people to. I'm finally in a place where I'm just in competition with myself, as we talked about. When people are, not bragging, but congratulating themselves on Facebook for how much production they did this year. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so good. And I want to encourage them and clap them on. I might not have done that much, but um, I'm growing. I am growing big time every day because of the mindset work. And that's, I think you and I can relate to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have
So
so many questions that I wrote down, but
I'm
I might just
sorry.
send these. We've already been on for about an hour.
I'm
And
sorry. I talk too
maybe
much. I'm sorry.
no, that's so good. I mean, really, that's so we can keep the conversation going. But I'm gonna send you these questions because you might want to write like a blog or your story one day. And
You? Please do. People keep telling me that. People keep sending me comments and messages, and they keep saying, "You should
good.
write. You should write about this." And I keep going, "Okay, maybe."
Yeah.
But it's funny that you say that because I've had so many people say that to me, like, "You should just write about this." And I'm like,
Well, you started journaling it on Facebook and social media.
"Yeah,
So, and I'm sure it is helping so many people. And I didn't even realize I wanted you to come and talk about your journey. And I had no idea that it was, I don't know if you noticed, but I like almost started crying in the middle because I was in the same spot. Even though we have different stories,
mhm,
I didn't see what value I brought to the world,
mhm,
to my clients. And I mean, my friends were first time home buyers, and they made me find them a house and represent them. And that was my first transaction, and that got me over the confidence hump. But still, um, I just didn't see the value. Like I never posted on social media. I was so worried about what people thought.
mhm."
And I mean, that comes from a bad marriage and, you know, just control that I've once had in my life. But it takes a lot of work, but people can do it. And you and I, we've had the connections that we have in the real estate community and your connections. It really helped me um, get out of that gutter. And I don't think everybody has the access to that. I think
Mhm.
we have an unfair advantage to the connections that we have.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
anyway,
what I know about you is that you have always been a rock star in my eyes. You've
thank you.
always been, and I have seen. I maybe it hasn't been as much as you would like, but I have seen you over the years on social media, and I've seen you. Well, we've had other opportunities to be together in different communities, but I have seen you just like do amazing things with your business. I know you love your kids. You're a great mom. Like I just, and I think you have like, I'm not comparing, but it's gonna sound like I'm comparing, right? But I'm not comparing. Like I have always admired, like, wow, how much you can accomplish as a mom with young kids and running this business and all of the things that you're doing in your life. I'm like, wow, like she's amazing and she can have the strength and the ability to do all these things. So you've inspired me along the way too.
Oh, thank you. I love to hear that because
And we
people,
never know who's watching, right? And who will
you never
inspire you.
know. And I get great messages from people that are like, thank you for that. But then I also get messages where it's like, why are you doing this? And
Mhm.
I finally, and I have to kind of reflect back. And I listened to a podcast, and she said on her podcast, if I can just help one person, like
Yep.
I'm
That's
good.
why.
That's why I'm
Mhm.
doing it. And I'm like,
That's why.
okay, well, I'm doing that. So good.
That's it. We just want to help.
Yeah.
And when you post things on social media, the people that need to hear it will hear it. And the people that it's not for, they don't hear it. And sometimes those are the naysayers. The naysayers that say, why are you doing this? Or think you're bragging or whatever it is, or criticize the way I've done it, right? The way we've done it, whatever it is. That's
They're
about,
always out there.
man, that's about them. That is not about us. and it wasn't for them. And that's what I tell them. Thank you so much for your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Message wasn't for you, and it's
Right.
okay. I am not for everyone, and that's okay.
I love it.
Let's wrap it up that way, Sarah. That is, we are
Yeah,
not for everyone, and that is okay.
I love it. Well, I am so glad that you were on today. Thank you so much. I
Thank
cannot
you.
wait
This was so fun.
to transcribe this and put it and just repurpose it everywhere. I think it was just so good. And I think that your message helps a lot of people. And even if they don't have a weight to lose, I
Yeah.
think that you're teaching it helps in all areas of life. I know that I feel inspired after today's interview. I didn't know everything about your story, so it was really fun to hear.
Well, I'm inspired just being here with you. And I was so thrilled. I'll tell you, when you sent me the message and said, "Hey, could we do this?" And I was like, "I just want to talk to me."
You sent me a video.
Isn't that
You're like,
terrible? And then I was like,
why
"Step,
are you?
stop
And
it."
at the time, I really didn't know. I just knew that you were going through a journey. I didn't even know what all you would be talking about at the time. I don't even think I knew what questions I wanted to ask you, but um, you had to, it's probably we had to postpone it a week,
Yeah.
and that was probably the best thing that could have happened because I think things came together.
And if I can, I lost one of my very good friends, which is why we postponed it a week. So thank you for doing that. But it turns out today would have been his birthday, so it's his first heavenly birthday. It's my friend Michael. So I'm just going to send a shout out to my friend Michael because he was a big part of my life. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful soul. Passed away way too young. Um, is not in pain anymore. But today is his birthday, and the Bears won yesterday, which is his team. And so that's why we had to postpone. But it just is fitting that I'm getting to tell, because he was a big supporter of me, getting to tell my story today on Michael's birthday.
Oh, I love it.
Heavenly birthday. So,
Oh, that's so good. Well, I'm glad. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up and turn off the light. Thank you so much.